Today we are walking through a quick guide on how to play in your Bright Lights pre-release or sealed event. Bright Lights is designed for a unique, limited experience for Flesh and Blood, and you will not want to miss it. But what makes Bright Lights so unique? Pre-release events are still in the sealed format, but this time around at the beginning of your event, you'll receive 4 packs instead of 6 to open and build your 30 to 40 card deck. That's right, not only is there a minimum deck size, but also a maximum. You will only receive 4 packs this time because there's only one class in the set, Mechanologist. This will both make deck building easier, as you can pretty much use any card in your deck, but also a bit more nuanced. Just because it's a Mechanologist card doesn't mean it's the best fit for your hero. So let's go over the 3 heroes you can choose from, what their strengths are, and then how you can sort your card pool efficiently to help you choose which hero to play. Starting with Dash Database, she is a 4 intellect hero with 18 life, and her ability reads, you may look at the top card of your deck at any time. Once per turn, you may play a Mechanologist item with cost 0 or 1 from the top of your deck as though it were an instant. It costs an additional resource to play. Dash's ability is very powerful, making her life total start 2 below the other heroes in the set. And of course with Dash you'll be looking for lots of items so that you can make the most of her ability, and fortunately there are a lot in Bright Lights. Now just as important as the hero is the weapon that is used with it, so Dash's weapon is Symbiosis Shot. It is a Dash specialization, which means you can only use this in your deck if you are playing Dash. It has action, remove a steam counter from this, attack. Whenever a Mechanologist item enters the arena under your control, if this has fewer than 6 steam counters, you may put a steam counter on this. When you do swing for this, it attacks for 2. And just like Dash's hero ability, you need items to make this work. Here we are for Dash. We're going to start off here by playing a Hadron Collider because of course we got a lot of items in our deck. We love items. That leaves us with 2 resources. Now when it comes in, normally would have 3 steam counters on it. We are going to crank it, of course, because we want to keep playing. We don't want to just stop there. That would be sad. We also get a steam counter here on Symbiosis Shot because we had an item enter the arena for us. So I'm going to use this actually here. We'll remember we got 2 floating. If we're going to use them right away, we are going to play a red Lay Waste. This costs 2 using those up. And now we have the option to boost or not boost this. Of course, with Dash, it is nice. You get to look at the top card. Technically, I think you should look before you play your boost card. It's not an item, so we're not super excited about having that to throw out there or anything. And we do want to attack with our Symbiosis Shot later. We don't want our turn to stop, so we'll boost it. We'll send that off. When you boost an attack here with the Hadron Collider, if you do that, you destroy it, and the attack gets plus X based on the number of steam counters that are on it. We had 2 steam counters on that, so we're now going to make this attack a 7 for us. And now we have a new card to look at on the top, and oh, Boom Grenade. That is the fun item you want to see at the top of your deck. So after our opponent decides to block or not block, hopefully they don't block. They don't quite block out the 7. Let's say that. We're going to use Dash's ability, and we're going to play that Boom Grenade. So when that enters the arena, it gets a steam counter on it. There's no need to crank it. We're playing it as an instant. You do have to pay another resource in addition to its cost to do that. So we'll spend another card. And this has an attack action card. You control hits a hero, destroy this, and deal 4 damage to them. So our Laying Waste, hit them for 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, whatever it was fun. Hit them with another 4 on that Boom Grenade and destroy that. Not a fun turn for your opponent because remember, this did get boosted and has go again. So we're going to use, which should have 2 because we had a Boom Grenade come in. We're going to use one of those steam counters here in Symbiosis Shot to shoot them again with another 2. And that's a pretty fun turn for Dash. Next we have Max Nitro, a brand new character to Flesh and Blood. 4 intellect and 20 life. His ability reads once per turn action. For 2 resources, create a Hyperdriver token with 2 steam counters. Activate this ability only if you've boosted this turn. Hyperdrivers you control get crank, and the crank keyword means As it enters the arena, you may remove a steam counter from it. If you do, gain an action point. So the first thing you want to note on Max Nitro's ability is that you can only use it if you have boosted this turn. That means that boost cards are very, very important for Max. Of course, boost is important for every hero, but especially Max Nitro, as his ability requires that you have boost to use it. What is boost? Boost is a keyword ability on Mechanologist attack actions, which reads, as an additional cost to play this, you may banish the top card of your deck. If it's a Mechanologist card, this gets go again. Now fortunately, your whole deck will be Mechanologist cards, so you'll never miss. What does the Hyperdriver token that you create do? Hyperdriver says when this has no steam counters, destroy it, and once per turn, when you boost a card, remove a steam counter from this and gain 1 resource. Essentially, Max's ability allows you to spend resources to create a Hyperdriver, and then later when you boost, you are able to get those resources back. The Hyperdriver can only be triggered once per turn, so you're not going to be able to get both of those resources back in the same turn if you leave 2 steam counters on it. But you may not have 2 steam counters on your Hyperdriver anyways, as Max's second ability gives your Hyperdrivers Crank. Crank, remember, is that when an item enters the arena, you may remove a steam counter from it, and if you do, you gain an action point. So you can create your Hyperdriver. Instead of leaving 2 steam counters on it, you can remove one of them so that you gain an action point and you can continue your turn. Now, why might you want to do that? Let's take a look at Max Nitro's weapon. Max's weapon is Banksy. It is a Max specialization, so again, you can only have this in your deck if your hero is Max. It has once per turn action, 1 resource, attack. Activate this ability only if you've cranked this turn. When this hits a hero, put a steam counter on an item you control with Crank. And it attacks for 3, and it is again a 2-handed weapon. Here you can see why you may want to crank that Hyperdriver so that you can attack with Banksy, and if you are able to hit, you'll actually get that steam counter right back on your Hyperdriver or another item that you have in play with Crank. Now that is a lot of text for Max here and his abilities and making them all work, so let's do a very basic quick example turn for Max. Remember, for his ability to actually be used, you have to have boosted. So as an example for Max's turn, again, we want to begin with a card with boost. So we'll start by playing Big Bertha. We need to pay 3 for that. And we will use the boost ability and take a card from the top of our deck, put it in our banish zone so that it has go again. Once the attack has resolved, we're then going to use Max Nitro's ability to create a Hyperdriver token. This will cost us 2, and again, this Hyperdriver normally comes in with 2 steam counters, but we want to crank it so that we can keep playing and hopefully use our wrench. We'll crank it so that you gain an action point. Max's ability only costs 2, which means that we still have 1 resource floating, and with that, it is perfect. It is enough for us to attack with Banksy, and again, remember, you can only attack if you've cranked, which we have. If Banksy does hit our opponent, we'll be able to put a steam counter back onto our Hyperdriver and have 2. Then we can finish our turn by arsenaling our 4th card. Finally, you can play Teklavasan, a 4 intellect hero with 20 life. His ability reads, you may play Evos from the banished zone, and he has a once per turn instant 3 resources. You may play your next Evo this turn as though it were an instant. When you do, draw a card. Now, what is an Evo? Evos are Mechanologist action equipment pieces that, unlike regular equipment pieces that start out on the board, are actually shuffled into your deck. They are part of your deck, and throughout the game, you play them to build your equipment suite. This is a brand new card type, and there are a couple of things that are important to know about them. First, in order to play them, you need to have a base equipment on the board for you to transform this onto. For example, let's read Evo Sentry Base Arms. If you have a base arms equipped, transform it into this, then equip this. Put it under this in your arm zone. In very basic terms, it just means you need a base arms equipment piece in your equipment zone, and when you play this card, you have to pay the cost. you can transform that old base piece into a brand new Evo. Now, something else to watch out for is some of the Evo action equipment are actually base equipment. So here, the Evo Sentry base chest. This is a base equipment. It's one you put in your deck and you draw it. You can transform a current base chest piece you have in the arena into this, but it is still a base chest piece. So you can transform it again into another Evo chest equipment piece. This is helpful for cards like Evo Engine Room, which has the ability of once per turn instant destroy a card under this. Your next weapon attack this turn costs one less resource to activate. More cards underneath it, the more you get to use it. There's a token version for each of the 4 equipment slots so that you can always make sure you have base equipment in your deck. You don't need to open them up in your sealed pool. They're tokens. Anybody who wants to play them can use them. There also are some other common base pieces, which are better than the tokens, so you want to play those if you do get them. You'll also want to note with your Evo equipment that you can pitch it to play other cards, or you can defend with it just like any other card. It does not have to be on the board for you to defend with it. With Evos, be careful to read the card type at the bottom. There are a few that are instants and not actions. Instant Evo cards work just like regular instants, meaning you can play them whenever you have priority, and you don't need an action point. Now, what about Teklevasan's weapon? Teklo Leveler. If you have 1 or more Evos equipped, this gets once per turn action, 3 resources, attack. 2 or more, this costs 2 less to activate. 3 or more, this gets go again. 4 or more, this gets +1 attack and is a 2 attack, 2-handed weapon. Now, Teklo Leveler is not a specialization, which means you could play it on the other heroes, but it's best in Teklevasan. As you can see, if you have 0 Evos in play, you cannot use it. It does nothing. If you have a lot of Evos in play, it's very good. If you have a deck that has lots and lots of Evos, you probably should be playing Teklevasan. If somehow you manage to get 4 Evos equipped, which means 1 head, chest, arms, and leg Evo, you will have a 1 cost, 3 attack, go again weapon. A little example turn here for Teklevasan. We're actually going to start as if it is your opponent's turn and they decide to attack you with a data link with 2 attack. And with Teklevasan, you want to get your Evo equipment out there. You want to get things moving so that you can use that Teklo Leveler. Again, it's totally worthless if you don't have any Evo equipment. So in this case, it's their turn. Right now, we've only got proto equipment out, but we're going to use Teklevasan's ability here. Trigger that, we're going to spend 3 resources so we can play our next Evo as though it were an instant. Now, you want to make sure that you have enough resources, of course, when you do this so that you can still play your Evo card. We're going to play an Evo Sentry base chest, so we have to pitch another 2. Now that will replace our proto base chest, and after you've played it, so you need to have the resources first, then you get to draw a card back. So now we're back to 2 cards in our hand, and we're going to use that base chest here. It's got battle worn, so we're okay taking a hit from it, and it'll get a little -1 counter. We'll pretend that's a -1 counter right there. And so it's still in the field, it's not gone. We blocked it, and we have now a Evo equipment, so we can start attacking with our leveler. Back on our turn, we've got 2 cards in hand. We're going to play a Sprocket Rocket, and it has boost, and we're not afraid to boost. Even if we boost away our Evos, here we boosted an Evo Zipline, because remember, you can play Evos from your banished zone. That Evo Zipline is a nice one to have there. That's one of those instances I was talking about, so we can play that now whenever we want to. And it's a nice one when it's equipped to target attack, gets go again. So we're going to save that until we can either use that ability or we need to make our Teklo Leveler rock. And fortunately here we got another boost card, so don't really need to boost here to try and get equipment in your banished zone. We don't want to run out of cards before our opponent unless you have just the most amazing pool ever and you really want to fill up that Evo suit. If you got that, then you can give it a shot. Yeah, no luck this time. Now, something else we could have done on this turn to save cards and not go through our deck quite as quickly is we can go back a little bit here, not play the 0 to 50. Again, we could just play this Evo Zipline out, not really get use of its ability, but Now because we have 2 Evo equipment, that makes this cost 2 less. It only costs 1. We could pitch our 0 to 50, keeping our deck a little bit more full, losing a little bit on your attack value and not getting the zipline ability later. But again, especially if you're getting towards the end of the game and you can see that we might get fatigued here, that's not a bad option to start using your weapon, and using your weapon as much as you can. Keep your deck full. You don't want to get to nothing. Just like I talked about with the proto base equipment being tokens, the heroes and their weapons are also token cards, which means that you don't need to open them in your packs to play with them. They will always be available to you. When you are playing a sealed event, you always use the young version of the hero, which has 20 life, or in the case of Dash, 18. Now that we've gone over the basics, it's time to crack some packs and figure out who we're going to play. You're going to have a limited amount of time to build your deck in your event, so I think it's better to sort quickly and then spend more time reading all your cards after they've been sorted. For bright light pools, I like to sort my cards by boost attacks, items, scrap cards, galvanized cards, Evo attacks, and then all the rest of the other actions, instants, and blocks, followed by any equipment that we have. As we saw with each hero, they have some different play styles and are looking for a little bit different things, so sorting them like this will give you a nice visual representation of where you should start looking for which character to play. But what are scrap and galvanized cards? Well, scrap is a keyword that reads, as an additional cost to play this, you may banish an item or equipment from your graveyard. Galvanized cards have, when this defends, you may destroy an item you control. If you do, this gets +2. Having these 2 keywords separated out during the sorting process just gives you another point of information on whether you should be leaning heavier into an item or equipment build. So here's an example pool that I've opened from 4 packs. As you can see, you get a lot of boost attack actions here. This is actually the first 2 rows are all boost attacks. You're not going to have a problem finding those. Everybody needs them. We've got a big full row here of items, much less on the scrap and galvanized cards, and then actually a decent amount of Evo cards. 5 of them are actual Evos. 1 of them is an attack that has an Evo keyword on it, so it gets a bonus if you have Evos in play, depending on how many. And then just the rest of our actions over here. And 2, we did get 2 base equipment pieces, which are nice. Again, much better than just using the token versions. And we did get 1 majestic item. I think the easiest place to start on trying to rule out a hero or see if you want to go that direction is actually with Teklevasen. It's pretty easy to look at the Evo equipment you've got and decide, well, I could really do something great with this, or not much. In this pool here, we have, let's see, we have an arms piece, chest piece, another arms piece, that attack action again, Evo upgrade, another arms piece, and legs. So we have 3 of the 4 ones. There is unfortunately no Evo head. If there was an Evo head in there, and so you had all 4 of the different spots and you're excited about trying Teklevasen, that'd be a really good sign. Go this direction. The exact opposite, if you only have Evos for legs, only for arms, only for chest, something like that, like a recent, I did open another pool that only had leg pieces. It was pretty clear, yeah, let's not play Teklevasen. Because again, you can still use these with other characters, but if you're not getting to the point where you're going to be able to use Teklevasen's ability much to pull them out of your banish zone or play them as instants, or you're not able to feed that leveler, there's no reason to play Teklevasen. So while having 4 pieces would be better, 3 is enough. You can enjoy it and have a good time playing with Evos. Of course, that might not be the best. You can also hop over to your items, take a look and see if you have a good pool of items that maybe makes Dash really nice. Of course, you like to see red items. You like to see this red boom grenade. That is a nice card that you can sneak out on the board. You can instant that out from the top of your deck sometimes. That could be really fun. If all of your items are only blues, you don't have a lot of powerful red ones, then maybe Dash isn't the one you want to do. Maybe you want to focus more on boosting. And of course, vice versa, if all your boost attacks are very much a lot of blues, not very many reds, maybe you want to think about trying to figure out how you can make your items or your Evo do more work for you. From this pool, I think you could make a pretty decent deck for any of the 3 heroes. You have some nice red attack actions, a really good amount of those. You also have some good items here, lots of red ones. You can see this old foil hadron collider in there too. So really good options on sneaking items out, popping them out. But again, for Technovossen, it's not a bad Evo pool. It could be better. There could be more Evo matter attacks. There's only one in here with Evo upgrade. So not the best, but it could be a lot worse. Again, for this, I think kind of go down the path that's going to be the most fun for you. Remember, you're playing in a pre-release event, a sealed event. You're there to have fun. Make the most of it. Don't worry about it too much. Probably what is going to make it the most fun, though, like I said before, is spend some time reading these cards before you get there. That is a lot of cards. It's a lot of text to read. You don't have to memorize everything before you get there, but if you're familiar with a few things, familiar with the general idea of how the cards work and the keywords, you're gonna have a much better experience. Your brain's not gonna hurt so much. You need to build a 30 card deck minimum, but you're probably gonna want to use more cards. Historically, larger decks and sealed play help you avoid becoming fatigued, which means running out of cards in your deck, not being able to do anything before your opponent does. With the boost mechanic all over the place, it is extra important to have more cards, and probably one of the reasons now they have a 40 card maximum deck size. I'd probably just make 40 card decks unless you have a very specific strategy to get to a complete Evo or something. You can find out some more card interactions and technicalities over on the Rules Reprise article found on fabtcg.com. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a really great time at your Bright Lights pre-release or sealed event. After your event, let me know how it went in a comment below. We'll see you next time. Peace.